We're going to start rebounding this out now with traditional grip. And first I'm going to explain that a little bit. The traditional grip is probably the old school version. It's what you'd see Buddy playing. I've used it most of my career. My father taught it to me. What's going to happen here is you're going to have the stick in the crotch of the hand like so. There are two bones in here. It's going to sit between the two bones. That's your fulcrum compared to this side. Now we have this side. So we've got a little wiggle waggle in the right hand and a little wiggle waggle here. So I'm going to explain the left hand a little bit, then I'll just briefly talk about the right hand because it's just a slight adjustment. First we have to find the fulcrum of the stick where it bounces the most. And that's pretty simple. What you're going to do is you're going to try to hold the stick about 3/4 of the way down, and you're going to see how much bounce you get out of that stick. You'll notice if you hold it back too far, it's not going to bounce much. And by the way, when you go through the book traditional non-bounce, you're going to hold it back further, just like you did with the match grip. So you'll have more weight at the end of the stick. But now we're bouncing. So we're going to take the actual fulcrum point, the bouncy part, and let the stick do all the work. Okay, so you're going to find that if you hold it too far up, it's not going to bounce. So you're going to find that magical spot. Also with the traditional grip, you'll notice that I'm really holding that hand kind of below the level of the drum, or the drum pad. Compared to the right hand, you're kind of over that situation. So everyone will look at you with your drum slanted and wonder why. That's why. You've got to get the stick to bounce just a little off the rim of the drum. When it hits the rim, you're going to lose your bounce. So right off the rim, that's your optimal bounce. So you can see what I'm doing with my open hand is simply going to be done when the hand is put into the complete configuration. And so this is that karate position I talk about in the book. Now we're going to take the fingers and then just bend them and relax them. They're in this position now. I put that in my hand. Nothing's changed, just those fingers in that position. Then we're going to take the fingers, the 4 fingers, and split them up. We're going to take the bottom fingers, curve them a little bit, and the top will be curved a little bit, but not as much as the bottom. So we have a platform now that is held up by this 3rd finger. So the fulcrum to the 3rd finger, that's kind of a stop-off point that you'll be using. Okay, now I'm going to take the 2nd finger, we're going to put that over the stick, and the 1st finger, the index finger, that's over the stick. They're lightly over the stick. Now, just to tell you a little bit about the non-bounce grip, the only thing that's going to change for that is you're going to you're going to keep the stick further out, further back, or further up this way, and you're going to keep those fingers just a slight pressure, very slight. If I pull this out, it's just a little tacky. And that's where you would do all those wrist exercises. But now we're bouncing. And we're taking that idea, putting the fingers under and over. And you notice now when I bounce, my whole wrist is moving with that bounce. I'm not doing this, which would be very convenient, but when these fingers come out, they will not allow the whole forearm that has to turn to operate because they won't have to. This arm won't have to operate. So keeping those over makes the whole forearm turn. Later you can get your fingers adjusted in. Meanwhile your thumb is also managing the stick. But more importantly now, you want to get the whole wrist to turn and bounce with the energy of the stick. And the whole idea here is to get this stick to bounce out of the drum, straight out of the drum, drawing the sound out of the drum. So that full stroke needs to be matched up to the right hand. You don't want to have one hand down here, one hand up there, or vice versa. So that you have to make sure that's in order. Now let's talk about the right hand bouncing a little bit. The only thing that's really changing here is that we're taking the pinky that was holding the stick on the hand, and we're just letting it come out. You're not going to let it draw out like this. You're going to just keep it as a guard, and these fingers will definitely help you as you develop. All the fingers help, but it's the wrist that we're concentrating on. So that right hand now is a very light grip. If I was to pull that out of my hand, it's just very hardly tacky at all. There has to be a very slight holding, or else you drop the stick out of your hand. So that too, you need to find the balance point of that stick. It's actually the same point as the left hand. So it's pretty easy to catch. All right, so